And MBS, you were never really a real atheist. Just kidding. I myself go to Hindu temples with family, but I don't believe. Are you truly convinced, or is it just a leap of faith?
Me? Good question. Depends on what you mean by truly convinced, but I would say that describing it more as a leap of faith would be, it's actually a better description. Yeah,
And
that's
I
kind
can.
of. I know I didn't think of just saying it like that, but it's actually a good description. It's also there is a part of me, and it's just I'm not sure how to say this because people expect like whoa, and this also contradicts how I approached religion in the past. And people are going to say, "Oh, why would you join something without knowing it's 100% true?" But the thing is, I started practicing not because I was convinced that it's true, but rather because I felt like it is better, and I would hope that it's true, and it might be true, and I might just simply not know. And there are lots of things about it that I'm not able to completely refute, and all that. And I thought to myself, I could simply start going that way. What is there to lose anyway? It's also kind of funny because David, like many others, have often said that if you are an atheist, it's basically you exist, you live, you go through life, you search, you analyze, and so on. You believe in what is true and what is not true, and then in the end you die. That's it. That's it. You're dead. So living a life of an atheist doesn't really lead anywhere. In the end, you just die anyway. And if the whole world all exists for no other bigger purpose, no greater purpose, all of existence is just going to exist and at some point cease existing. Or it will just exist forever and ever and ever for no purpose at all. So if then in the middle of this, right, if in the middle of this, religion is true, or Christianity is true, you could add some great purpose to your life and live a meaningful, great life. Believing that Christianity is true is actually a better way to look at the world than believing that there is no God and atheism is the correct analysis. If you live your life being convinced that atheism is the correct analysis, it's just you just live your life and you die in the end anyway. What would be so bad about simply choosing to live a Christian life, for example, if the Christian life is going to look better for you? For me, I would say after many years of consideration, looking at a Christian life seemed to be a much better option for me. It's a much better option, and it's a much happier option. It's a much more it's an option with much more serenity, with much more meaning, instead of the whole the void and the hopelessness, the nothingness. I always forever just depended on simply wanting to pursue truth and always go with what I am 100% sure of. When I went to church, I actually had a conversation with an Orthodox Christian monk, and he said something very, very interesting, which kind of changed everything about how I viewed the world. And I'm not entirely sure how I can express or paraphrase what he said to me. I kind of wish I had that recorded or something. But he basically, after I told him that for the last 10 years I only pursued the facts and only went for something if I knew that it's 100% true, he said to me, with Christianity, nobody ever expects you to know that something is 100% true, which is why we call it faith. If with something else, like with atheism, you want to go for it and you want to make your next step always knowing that whatever you make a step toward is 100% true, then you are going to make steps and rely only on your mind. You will be led by your mind, by a mind that you yourself know is very limited and very weak, like all of our minds. And
Speak
in
for
the
yourself.
end,
Sorry.
in the end, you will not become a Christian, but rather try to find meaning and find a solution to things in your life. But the irony of it is that you will live your life with all of your skepticism, and in the end, you will not be able to help yourself. You will simply die and then cease existing. What's the point of that? You didn't really help yourself. All you did was just to be skeptical and then to die. Why not just go this path? And I thought, you know what? That's kind of an interesting way to look at things. It makes more sense than than what I did for the last 10 years. Anyway, long story short, it was kind of a leap of faith.
Yeah, and when I was in a jail cell, and I thought I had come up with the design argument. It turns out other people came up with the design argument long before me. Came up with a kind of moral argument. Thought I invented that. Turns out people had come up with a moral argument long before me, and started concluding that it looked like there was actual good evidence for Jesus' resurrection. Thought that I came up with the conclusion about how the apostles died, suggested that they really believed what they were dying for, and therefore that they actually saw something. And then the question becomes, what did they see that convinced these guys that a person who had been crucified had appeared to them later? What could account for this, and so on? Anyway, but you put all that together, and I can't say I was like completely or even close to completely convinced. So it was more along the lines of, okay, here's my position and my trajectory now. And I thought there was no way I was going to take seriously this message of Christianity because I thought it was stupid and completely wrong. So I wasn't even considering that. But now that I see, okay, they've actually got a case from design and they got a case from a moral argument for God's existence, and they actually have a case for the resurrection and for Christianity being true. At that point, it wasn't, I know that this is correct or I'm completely convinced of this. It's, okay, I know what I have on this trajectory, and this may be the trajectory that I'm on, but I'd kind of be stupid given my circumstances not to say, well, okay, why don't I check this out a bit more? Why don't I take a look at this a bit more? Why don't I try praying and see what happens? If not, I already know where I'm going. The doctor was saying he was going to tube feed me. The psychiatrist was saying she wants to send me to a more permanent mental hospital and so on. And it's like, okay, I know where I'm going on this road. Why don't I pray and see what happens? And if that turns out to be true, if Christianity is actually true, maybe there's a different path for me. And here we are many decades later, crushing Islam and atheism.
Powerful.